Hello. Your microphone is muted, so I can't hear you. I can see there's a little cross over the microphone on the corner. Sorry about that. I wish I could be there in person. Your microphone
Yeah, we have.
No, up here is here. I have to.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Hi, everyone.
Beautiful. Hi. Okay. Now we don't have, you still can hear us? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect.
You're
Perfect.
unmuted.
So,
Okay, so I'm sorry, you were. I have to keep on watching for anybody.
Sure.
trying to get me.
No, keep
you
going. So you were talking about the intergenerational exhibition for next year.
Intergenerational. I didn't hear what Isabel said, but maybe, because everybody was talking, so I'm not sure if the.
No, the idea is to create a connection between the youth and the elder,
And then also students.
yeah. And perhaps do interviewing of the older people, like the young generation, do some portraits of the older people and exhibit more on a public area outside City Hall in another, and that's where kid has to figure where, like in a large format, portraits of these.
In addition to City Hall.
Yes, yeah.
And where would you find the artists and the young people?
We're gonna do a formal call for art. Of course, the same partners that participated in the Art Out Loud will comprise the committee. During the live, reception opening, we anticipate that we'll have live performances from CCE to the Boys and Girls Club to Harambe.
Live performances, I understand, is where the individual artists come from.
Well, the individual artists from the youth will be from the youth organization.
And the adults.
The adults. will be a
So it's gonna be a call for the whole city and everybody who wants to participate.
That seems a little
Yeah.
difficult too.
Well, we're still in.
We were talking about.
And for what you say, it's also the idea of having maybe some workshops or events so that they meet each other, have the exchanges,
Yeah,
and then the art is being produced after those exchanges.
but
That's
also,
something interesting.
also, I don't know, perhaps, start, hello. Start, introduce the students that she has in, like, portrait photos.
Or some stuff, yeah.
Some stuff like that. And some students may want to paint a portrait. And do poetry. I think it yields for a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
For the youth and the elder.
We're not really sure.
And they-
Back to your question, we're not really sure about this. We're just talking right now.
Yeah.
But if it will be a formal call for art, that would go out in August for the adults. However, moving into phase 3 of the master plan, I'm looking at one of the priorities that talks about creative aging.
Yeah,
And luckily, Drew Andrews is doing the same thing at CCE. He is creating for 24 a lot of intergenerational programming. So this can fit right in and flow right into that. So we haven't discussed yet, we haven't called a meeting yet, we're just trying to get through the year. And then coming into the early of the year, we'll call the youth partners together on a lunchtime Zoom perhaps, and, just kick this around and see where Drew's going and see where the ideas are flowing for the intergenerational exhibition.
because the exhibition will be scheduled for next
October.
fall.
Yes.
Exactly.
Also, we have.
Then time to-
Yeah, really good.
So coming into the new year, we will be moving forward with it. And again, we want to keep the youth, I heard from everyone, I think at this table, as well as City Hall and visitors, that we have to keep the youth
Engaged.
engaged.
Yeah.
In the City Hall exhibition, so, I think this is a real good way of.
That's great.
using it. So I will move on to, you have the highlights, the music and arts and history series that we've been doing all year has been very successful. Our last, since we last met in October, was the Bush Brothers at TR Gallo. That was
Okay.
country, Americana music. We had an array of everything, you know, for everyone. That was very well attended. It was in the afternoon. And then next up will be our end of the year, annual end of the year with Boris Corrales at Old Dutch Church. 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve at Old Dutch Church. And a couple of years ago, it was, we all come from somewhere, celebrating everyone's background from everywhere and embracing each other. Last year, it was Let America Be America Again, to the poetry of Langston Hughes, and this year it's Let Our Love Be Heard. And the, sentiment with that is that there's a lot of war going on, there's a lot of mass shootings. While we're celebrating, a lot of parents are burying their loved ones,
Yeah.
and we are ending this year, the city of Kingston, letting everybody know that love is still here, that we still embrace peace, and we still welcome everyone in this sanctuary city of Lake. So all are welcome. We are taking donations this year. Last year we chose Family of Woodstock. This year we chose People's Place. So we are accepting new emphasis on new blankets. Because when I talked to Ms. Hine at People's Place, she said a lot of people are coming in for blankets because a lot of people can't pay their Central Hudson bill.
Yeah.
Sure.
And of course, the typical gently used or new coats, gloves, hats, and what have you, and then drop something in the buckets and cash for the People's Place.
Yeah.
So did you say only new blankets?
Only the
Yes.
blankets, please.
But everything else can be gently used?
Gently used,
Okay.
yes.
What other items?
Jelly.
Coats, gloves.
Coats, gloves,
Gloves,
scarf, hats.
gently used money.
Well, money is usually new.
Okay, so there are elements of the public art policy, goings on that I will have to reserve for, the executive session. However, as you know, we did hire McGregor Consultants. And, the first phase is the plan for the existing municipal art collection, as well as the funding plan for the municipal art collection and elements of the public art policy. And I've had a lot of talks since our last meeting with McGregor about the insurance coverage. What I'm understanding, and this should be public knowledge, is that we have tens of thousands worth of artwork in this building and other buildings.
Yeah,
And there's never been a full inventory with the value assessed so that the insurance company could receive.
yeah.
Right now, we have a holding policy, just blanket, for $100,000. But according to our insurance carrier, if we were to make a claim,
It's
the
very impossible.
deductible would be so high
Yeah.
that it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
Now, we know if by flooding or fire, if any artwork is destroyed, there is no way we will duplicate it. However, insurance will cover it. So, this brings to us a lot of considerations. John Dwyer from Marshall and Sterling wants everyone to understand that his job is to protect the city of Kingston and to protect our art. So anything that we do, whether it's receiving donations or receiving loans, I will go into executive
Needs to be
session
cataloged, yeah.
with you as well, and other. And the assessment or the conservator that does come to assess has to do it every 6 months. Because if we were to make a claim, and the assessor was here a couple of years ago, they couldn't accept that assessment or whatever you call it, I don't know the word, to make a claim. This is what he's telling me. If you want to ask him questions, Ward, please do.
I've never heard of every 6 months. So-
This is what he's
Every
saying.
6 months sounds like too soon, but.
Because,
yeah.
is it because there's so much public in the
I'm not
spaces?
sure.
Why don't you ask why?
I am going back, and this is what I have so far. We are going back and
Yeah.
forth.
But our response to that is, why every 6 months?
Okay, okay. Well, this is the initial information that he's given me according to his,
What other governments or institutions get their art looked at every 6 months.
Yeah. What is your suggestion, or what?
Maybe every 2 years or so,
Yeah,
something like that,
I
yeah.
didn't hear that, what is it?
every couple of years.
Every-
Okay. All right. so
I mean,
I'll bring that
if
back.
the art is put into a dangerous or good place, if there's a lot of sunlight coming in, you know, if there's no security downstairs, if, you know, there's a history of leaks, but we don't have that. What?
This building? This building was, really in bad shape, and we're still correcting the neglect. And
It is possible that maybe because of those things and the public access, is that they
He'll tell us.
suggested.
Yeah.
so-
he's still
every
looking
6
into it,
months.
this is preliminary, he said he's got a lot more investigation.
It still sounds like excessive, but
Yeah.
maybe a year, I don't know, yeah, we may need to have that
So
conversation.
this is
Yeah.
just the preliminary, he's looking into this, so I will bring back to him that you feel that it should be 2 years, not 6 months.
Each year, every 2 years, something like that.
Okay.
Every
Or every other, yeah.
Okay,
Is there a second opinion or second?
he's our insurance carrier, I don't know what.
Oh, okay.
He's your guy.
Yeah, and like he said, I'm here to protect the city of Kingston.
Yeah, and the other, I mean, another question would be, what other entities do you require to do this every 6 months?
Yeah.
Does the insurance company require?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I will
Or
let,
at least that he can tell you, like, why he considers that every 6 months.
well,
but we
this
cannot
is,
tell
yeah,
you.
this is preliminary.
Yeah, no,
So
that's
just, go ahead, we said it.
fine, yeah, that's
This is,
okay.
we're just having initial conversations, he's doing some deep dives into this because surprisingly, this has never been asked of him before.
Yeah.
Here, ever,
Yeah, I'm not
by
surprised.
no one else,
By no one.
in this city or in the United States.
No. Kingston, I imagine.
It's never been asked in the city, I take that.
The city's insurance
Yeah.
person has
I-
never
And
been,
people think general liability covers it, it doesn't.
no, well, that's been the assumption until we got here.
Yeah.
That the city's invaluable art collection is just kind of automatically covered. And he said that they covered the building and we asked for inventory, he typically gets, well, we have desks, we have computers,
Yeah.
we have this and that. But no one has ever done this.
Because there is no inventory, there is not an archive with all the
So
work,
this
yeah.
will have to be priority once we
That
get.
need to be
Yeah,
done,
things in
yeah.
place. Is that our first, consultant, not consulting contractor that we hire, whomever that person should be, and what that person's title is, would have to be on this.
And that would also include where the works are being kept, right? And the
Yeah.
condition of the
Storage.
space and all
Yes, the
stuff.
storage.
Yeah,
Cooling, storage methods. I have a
Exactly.
gallery claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive policy, but it's necessary.
It's
Yeah.
necessary. John Tui is very interested in this because when I told him I probably have about $10,000-15,000 worth of artwork hanging on my wall, he just looked at me with his mouth open, what, I didn't know. And, again, this is fair. If you did not, establish an arts commission and an arts and cultural affairs department, then probably it would never come up. You
Yeah.
can't expect the engineering department to know, or anybody
We're not
else.
claiming
right?
it.
Yeah.
So it's good that, we are on this, and moving forward. So that's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna cover right now.
Okay, and the rest we
I
will
have
talk
other,
Okay.
confidential things to discuss at executive session.
But now that we have quorum, I would like to go back to the minutes.
Would you like to
And,
officially open the meeting?
well, it was officially opening before. We can open it without the quorum. What we cannot do is to make decisions without the
I
quorum.
move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Anybody against, abstentions or comments? No, okay, great, thank you. So then, as our third item on the agenda, before we go to executive session, if there is any announcement that the commissioners would like to make?
Oh, I had a couple questions for
Okay, sure.
the director. Not based on the report, but just in a general sense. I was
No
curious,
personal, please?
not personal, business.
Are you planning another calendar for 2024?
I'm glad you brought that up because you were about to receive an email from me.
Oh.
As you know, last year, I just established a citywide calendar.
Yeah.
So I was just working on that a little while ago. And of course, I'm getting to all of the youth partners so that you all can look at each other and coordinate your dates together.
Mhm.
But this also helps me to establish, but I'm going by last year, to establish mine. So that I can present to the mayor who's waiting for mine. So it'd be great to get everyone's dates from those who have all the major festivals.
It's possible, yeah.
Events. Because, you know, the Italian festival is always on that same day.
Yeah, they are positive is always that, yeah.
All positive.
The burden of Kings, though.
This is what's throwing us off this year, because Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples' Day, everybody else's day, O Positive Day, is usually the first weekend of October.
Yeah.
It falls down on the 14th this year.
Oh, really?
So the first weekend, it's just throwing everybody off. So I'll be sending you this hopefully by Monday, so that by the end of the year, because we also need to give it to Radio Kingston by January. They will have their public meeting. They want to get organized too. I think someone made the statement saying that the ARPA Events and Festivals grant just plowed the calendar. It was a great year, great comeback year, but there will be no more ARPA
Yeah.
Events and Festivals grants. So I think that there'll be a pullback of some of the new,
Some activities.
events that try to kick off or try to, because they're gonna have to, they got some seed money from this. But now those folks are gonna have to figure out how they're going to
Yep.
continue if they want, should they want to.
Ironically, as I was driving to the meeting, there was a piece on NPR about the funding for the arts during the pandemic and the billions of dollars that went to cities all over the United States. And that doesn't seem
It's all
to.
drying up.
Yeah, so it was just,
Next year
and it's so interesting.
Well, that's the worry across the board too. Before the pandemic, we were all kind of worried about the cuts to the arts and the cuts to the arts. And then the pandemic hit, we were all shut down, and then the recovery money, the stimulus money, whatever you want to call it. So people are kind of getting comfortable with all of these COVID-related recovery grants. But as of next year, that stops. So then we're gonna go back into where we were, 2018, 2019. With that too, I'm reminding people who come to see me about funding and what have you, that next year we're going into a pretty tense political fight, which means that normally when you see individual donors donate to you for this or this or this or that, I saw at the last election, a lot of major donors to the organization that I was the executive director of, were saying, see me next year. Right now, I am donating across the nation. So I think we'll see an effect that way too. So I'm encouraging people who come see me and others, the creatives, especially organizations that have, are relying on sponsors or individual donors, do your asks early in the year before this gets hot, by the summer and the fall.
Yeah.
Because if you wait too long, it's gonna get.
It's already done.
Yeah. So that's all.
Any other announcement? Nope. Okay, so, thank you, everybody. We're gonna adjourn the meeting for this month, and